I demanded answers, and when I didn't get any, I got even angrier. I was pretty much ready to abandon my faith, and there were times that I even considered abandoning my life because I thought that God had abandoned me.
Can't really put my finger on a specific time, but there are definitely times where I felt like God has maybe turned his back on me or made me angry.
Probably have to say when my friend committed suicide, I started questioning a lot of what God said in the Bible and what I had done so far. But I think just from my friends and from my teachers and the people I've been around, they sort of helped me come through it, and now I think I have a stronger faith for it.
Sometimes I don't understand why he does what he does, but I kind of think that he has his own plan.
Like, you pray to him to, like, for good things to happen, but when bad things, you're like, start yelling. So it's just, yeah, I've been angry at him.
At some point in a person's life, they probably find themselves angry at God.
Anger is an honest human way to feel.
But is it okay to be angry at God?
Have you ever been angry at God?
And is it a sin to be angry at God?
That's what we'll be talking about today on our program. Hi everyone, I'm Jack.
And I'm Beth. And this is Real Faith TV.
At the start of our program, you met some of our teens on the street and our spotlight guest, Jennifer Sands. Jennifer's husband, Jim, was killed in the terrorist attacks in our country on September 11th, 2001.
It was during this time in her life that she was not just angry, but furious with God.
We'll hear more about how Jennifer worked through this anger and found an even deeper relationship with God in the process.
We will also talk with our studio guests on this topic.
First, let's ask some more teens on the street if they have ever been angry at God.
When my grandparents died, I kind of thought it was unfair for them to die early for me. And I really don't understand why they died, so I thought it was his fault.
When my grandma died, I was pretty upset. But I worked through it with it, and I think my faith is stronger because of that.
I guess I have once or twice, but it's for stupid things you can't control, like someone dying or something like that.
He's never done anything worthy of my anger.
No, God is love.
I think whenever I mess up, it's my own fault.
Because you make your own mistakes.
I'm a bit too secular to be angry at him, I think.
I've never really been angry at God. I mean, if you look at most things that happen in your life, you can attribute it to random chance or some other thing. And in my own personal views, I don't know if I really even believe there is a God.
If I really am mad about something that's going on in my life, I'm just trying to think of a person that's in a wheelchair or something, and I'm just blessed that I got legs to walk and things like that, you know?
No, because actually I'd say I honestly believe everything happens for a reason.
No, I can't say I've really attributed any of the bad things that have happened to me directly to God. I mean, you see, it's either my fault or someone else's.
You can't always have a perfect life, so when bad things happen, it's not his fault or whatever.
The stuff he puts you through always makes you stronger, so.
No. I thank him every day for everything he has given me and for life, because without him, I don't know where would I be.
I'm angry at him right now, actually. Very angry.
Why's that?
Because there's a lot of things in my life that I cannot change and that he has put on me, and it's something that I do not want to have, I don't want to deal with yet. And he could have changed that, you know, and it's hard to come to terms with someone that's supposed to love you, unconditionally would cause you that much pain. So.
It seems as if many of the teens interviewed have been angry at God.
It's easy to get angry at God if things in our lives don't go the way we wanted them to.
Let's meet our studio guests and see what they think.
They are Matt, Caitlin, Katie, Anthony, Cora, and Catherine.
So, have any of you guys ever been angry at God?
Well, yeah, there was this one time I actually prayed to God to help me with the problem. It was a problem my friend was having, and she was going to make this really stupid decision. I'm like, you know what, God, I'm going to talk to her about it. Help you give me the words to talk to her about it. But, you have to stop this from happening. You cannot let her do this. So, the next day she comes in and she's talking about how, she did it and how she's so proud of herself doing it. It's like, no, stupid. And I got really angry at God because I'm like, God, I told you not to let her do this. You and I both know it's a bad thing for her to do. And then, a couple minutes later in the conversation, she had said how this random thing had happened that would have stopped her from doing it if she hadn't blatantly chosen to do it. So, I saw that, God does try to answer prayers in that, and also that comment also showed me that people have free will, and no matter what happens, God only has so much control because he doesn't, force us to do anything. He loves us so much, he lets us discover things on our own. So free will has a whole lot to do with why things happen.
I was angry that God allowed the terrorists to murder all those innocent people, especially my friend's father.
I think it's important to remember, though, that exactly what Catherine said, he didn't allow it to happen. People have free will, and it was the terrorists and a choice they made, not God, per se, letting it happen.
So, yeah, sorry to cut
No,
you
go
off.
ahead.
Yeah, because my father died on 9/11 too, and I wasn't angry at him. I was angry at the people responsible.
Yeah, like when things happen, I get angry at myself if it's my fault, or other people. I don't get angry at God because he gave us free will.
I mean, I have been angry at God before, I'll admit that. A couple summers ago, a good friend of mine passed away suddenly in a car accident, and then that same summer, 2 of my other closest friends moved away, and I felt like God took away from me the 3 closest people to me all in one sweep. But through a lot of prayer, I realized that it wasn't God that did that to me, that was putting this pain upon me, but that he was the one wanting to be there for me and hold my hand and carry me through the situation. And through a lot of prayer, I really realized that. So.
I think that God understands when we get angry at him, because anger is a natural emotion, but it's also irrational. So when you get angry, you can't really think clearly, and I think he understands that since he created the emotion.
Now would be a good time to go back to Jennifer Sand's story. As we said, her husband Jim worked at the World Trade Center and was killed on September 11, 2001.
Just as the towers came crashing down, so did Jennifer's life, and she blamed God. Her anger, her frustration was beyond words.
In this next segment, Jennifer will read us an excerpt from her book, A Tempered Faith: Rediscovering Hope in the Ashes of Loss.
In this excerpt, she tries to put into words the anger she felt toward God.
And just like the spoiled brat who hears the word no for the first time, I threw a fit, a tantrum, a full-scale protest to God. How dare you? I cursed him. I shook my fist at him. I could not imagine why he would take away the most important person in my life. I couldn't sleep at night, so I spent those hours yelling at him, cursing him out loud. I was furious. I felt gypped. I felt like he had teased me. Here, Jennifer, here's the guy you've been looking for your whole life. Hope you enjoyed your time together. Now I have to take him back. Sorry. I would shout out loud, how dare you? We were happy. We were in love. Love, that thing you say is the most important concept of mankind, and you take it away just like that? What did Jim ever do to you? He believed in you. He was good, true, honest, kind, generous, faithful. What kind of a God are you, anyway? Okay, maybe you didn't cause this to happen, but allowing it to happen makes you just as guilty in my book. You allowed Jim to suffer a horrible death. And now you're allowing me to suffer a horrible life. Well, that's just great. And the worst part of all, I prayed to you to keep him safe. I prayed to you every single morning, including that one. Did I not pray hard enough? Was I not specific enough? Was I supposed to pray to protect Jim from terrorist attacks? Was that my mistake? I trusted you. I believed you were not going to let anything bad happen to him. This is so unfair. So unfair. You could have stopped this from happening, and you didn't. That, by the way, was the edited version, because the actual version never would have made it to print.
Wow, that was a really powerful passage she read. I can't imagine how difficult it must have been to get through such a hard time in her life. I think that when someone so close to you dies suddenly, it can stir up the deepest of all your emotions.
Something like death is so out of your control.
It is at these times that we have to remind ourselves that God gave us free will, and he doesn't control the world like a puppet master.
We can't control the sins and mistakes of others.
So how do we deal with this anger?
And the guilt that we might feel being angry at God.
Is it a sin to be angry at God?
That is what we asked our teens on the street. Do you think it is wrong or a sin to be angry at God?
Let's see what they said.
Do you think it is a sin to be angry at God?
No, I think it's justified in the sense that even in the Bible they say that a lot of people lament about their problems.
I always feel that if I get mad at God, he'll take it personal or whatever. He'll do something, bad luck or.
It's kind of like being mad at your mom and dad, because you're not supposed to disrespect them.
Your elders.
Yeah, isn't it? I think it is.
I think that it could be classified as a sin, depending on your belief.
I think it's a sin because he never did anything to make you be angry at him.
Like you get angry, but you don't know who to take it out on, so you just take it out on God.
I mean, you have the right to be angry at God, I believe.
He understands us and he's all forgiving, so I don't think it's a sin.
You get angry, and like I think that's just a natural thing. I don't think like it's, you know, a sin. And even if it is, like you're forgiven for it.
Why should it? You're allowed to be angry. Your feelings are your own. As soon as your feelings are stunted, you're not even a person.
No, no way. Nah, it can't be a sin to be angry at God because he gives us the free will and all. So if you have free will, you can't really blame us for being angry.
Yeah, you don't really have control over your feelings. I mean, everything that religion is, you know, the values are what you do, not what you feel necessarily. I mean, you can't really control that. As long as you don't act on it and start preaching against God, which I suppose would probably be a sin, then, you know, I don't see any problem with it.
It's not a sin, but you can't really hate God. Maybe you can be angry at him, but
I don't think it's a sin because if you feel the same way about God as you do about people that you love, that you know, if you're angry at them and don't like talk to them about it, maybe that would be a sin. So if you didn't like have a conversation with God and be like, hey God, we have to have a talk, you know, because I'm angry at you.
It's human, you know, we're human, and I think that we won't understand everything he does. So our first reaction is going to be angry, you know, if it causes us pain, but it just happens. I don't think it's a sin, you know. I think he understands that we don't understand.
I think that's true. I think God understands that we don't understand.
I agree. Anger is a normal, healthy emotion which God created.
And venting your anger appropriately can help you move through that anger.
So how do you guys vent your anger to God?
Well, first of all, me and my brother are both musicians, and music definitely has a lot of healing power. I play guitar, he plays drums, and if either of us had a bad day, we'll just be like, oh, you want to play? Yeah, okay, let's play. And we could play for 2 minutes or we could play for 2 hours, depending on whatever we're feeling.
It's very relaxing.
Yeah, well, like the person said, you know, having a conversation with God. You know, some people think, oh, conversation with God, he's like this amorphous something. No, he's like, he's with you, he's in your heart. So, you know, like, if you just talk it over with yourself and, you know, you want God to be present in that conversation, you'll kind of get an idea of what he's telling you in your head, you know. So it's kind of like, hey, God, what's up? Nothing much, how about you? Oh, okay, I'm kind of angry at you. You know, goes through that.
Well, I usually go into my room and I turn on my U2 CD and I write my thoughts down in my journal, and that's how I vent.
Actually, I know I dance. I'm a dancer, and I do all different kinds of dance, but when I'm angry, I like to tap dance because it's like I can pound out and beat the floor with like every ounce of anger that's in me, so that's what I do.
When I'm angry, I like to draw and write poetry, and I've even written a few plays out of anger, so.
Oh, that's cool, though.
Yeah. Writing plays is good. I like to read, you know, like escape. Like if I'm angry, I'll read a book and sort of get away from everything. These are all good ways to vent anger. People who don't express their anger bottle it up inside themselves where it festers and grows.
Unexpressed anger can lead people to become bitter, resentful, and even violent.
Have you ever thought that God might be angry about the same things you are?
Perhaps your anger will lead you to do something positive to change a situation.
Anger can be motivating.
You may find that expressing your anger enables you to get beyond it and figure out a way to make things better.
Certainly, it can lead to a new perspective on the situation.
In our next segment, Jennifer Sands talks about how she was able to get through her anger and turn it into something positive and constructive.
Being angry with God was proof that I was acknowledging his existence. Otherwise, I couldn't be angry with him. So I realized that I wasn't really questioning my faith. I was questioning the wisdom of his actions, but I wasn't really questioning my faith. So once I got past that, and once I said to myself, okay, yes, I believe there is a God, now what? Then I had to take it to the next level, which was trust. I trust that God always has our best interest in mind, always, even when it doesn't seem that way, even when all the evidence suggests otherwise, even when it seems like he has turned his back, shut his eyes, and plugged his ears, while commercial jets are being used as bombs to kill thousands of innocent people. Dealing with our anger is a process. It's a journey, and I think it's important to know that being angry with God is okay. Staying angry with him is another whole story. He expects us, and he's okay. He can handle it. He's big. He can handle us being angry with him. Initially, when anything bad happens to us, we are entitled to feel that resentment towards him. But after a while, we need to refocus it on something positive. And again, God will give us those opportunities to do something positive with our lives. For me, it was a book. For other people, I've seen, especially other 9/11 families, their attention is focused on other positive things. I think anyone can do that. This is not just about me, and it's not just about September 11th. Anyone can do that, no matter what it is that you're going through in your life. If you depend on him and look to him, he will get you through it. He will get us through anything.
It's really incredible to see how Jennifer was able to turn her anger into something positive and meaningful.
What are some ways that any of you have found to turn your anger at God into something positive? And what advice can you give to others who might be angry at God?
I find that the stages of anger can help you work through a problem and come out with a better understanding of it, as well as a better understanding of God and of yourself.
Oh, well, like my brother said before, we play music and stuff. And, you know, as the years go by, we're getting closer together. Like, you know, more brotherly.
Yeah, it's kind of like Cora said. It's like stages. Only with me and him, it's like after the tragedy we had, we didn't necessarily feel angry at God. It was more like, you know, we had each other. Because, you know, when we were kids, it's like, you know, we played Ninja Turtles together. But now that we're older, it's like, you know, we're there for each other all the time for anything.
That's a good way to be.
Yeah. I know when I'm angry, I seek out my friends, and it has to be only beneficial to my relationship with my friends, and it has to be beneficial to my relationship with God, too, that I can strengthen that with them.
I think something that came out of my being angry at God that's really positive for me is I think that now I have a much stronger prayer life and personal, like, one-on-one relationship with God. Because before, I mean, obviously, I pray every night and say, you know, like, oh, God, please help me with this. But now I realize more of the things I need to be thanking him for, and I have a better relationship with God on that level, and I was able to work through it on my own, and I'm prepared for a situation in the future that might get me angry again, that I know now that it's not God's fault, and I know that through my prayer life with him. So I think that's something really positive that happened for me, at least. If we are to believe that God has a plan for us to follow, then do you think if we follow this plan, we'll be happy?
Let's see what the teens on the street had to say about this.
I think that God sort of has a path for us, you know, and it's up to us to either follow that path or stray from the path.
I just think that everything happens for a reason and God has his own plan.
Well, if he has one, I don't know what it is, so doesn't do me any good.
I think he does. It takes a while to really understand what it is he wants you to do.
Yes, I do believe that because I was brought up in a Christian home.
I guess he does know best, but I want what I want, you know? I don't care what he wants, basically.
I don't want to think that God handles things. I want to take things in my own hands and say, well, I want help from God, but I want to do this on my own.
Everything's just meant for it to be, and you can't do anything about what happened, so you have to go along with the punches.
No, I think he has a plan for us. He has everything set up for us, when we're gonna die, when everything's gonna happen to us.
Yeah, but you make your own life.
I think everything has a reason, but if you don't do it right, then things turn out wrong. And it's not always God's decision.
I don't know. I'm confused if there's destiny set for you, or if you kind of decide your own choices.
I think destiny is set for you. God just plans how your life is going to be, and that's just how it's going to be.
I don't know about predetermination. I don't really think so.
Nope, I think it's just you go with the flow, that's it.
Kind of just wing it. If he's controlling me, then, I can't be really unhappy with what I have.
God gave us free will, so I guess he really doesn't handle everything.
Well, God doesn't want you to be sad, so obviously if you follow his ways, then you're going to be happy, so.
I think in the end he knows what we're going to do and what's best for us. I think he leaves the little things in life up to us, but the big things he knows what we're going to do.
Yes, I think he kind of guides us, and if we just take the right steps to go with his plan, then it will turn out good.
Because, if you really read the Bible and you sit down and read it, it's
there's a lot of things that don't really make sense to you then, but then like now in life, there's a lot of things that make sense. Like now, nowadays they made made sense then, but now they do. You know, like he told us to stay away from the tree with even Adam. And it doesn't make sense then, but now it makes sense. Like all the struggles we're going through, maybe we wouldn't have went through them if they would just stay away from the stupid apple. You know? So yeah.
This is a difficult question. As you can see, the teens we talked to weren't all sure about it.
Where does God's plan end and free will begin? How can they coexist?
If God already has a plan for your life, then how do you have any control over it?
What do you think about this? Do you believe God has a plan for each of us, and if we follow that plan, we'll be happy?
Well, I believe God kind of has a roadmap, and he can see all the directions we can go in, and where we are right now, he knows exactly how we can get straight to the ice cream parlor of heaven, right? So
That's a good analogy.
But see, like, if we get lost, you know, say we go down the road of, like, sin, then God can go, oh, you just take the turn at redemption. You take it right back to the ice cream parlor, right? So, like, wherever you are, he knows the perfect way for you to get there.
But it's up to you
it's up for you to decide which road you go down. And, you know, if you need directions back, God's always there on the cell phone to take you right back to the ice cream parlor.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
I noticed on the roll-ins, a lot of the kids said that they everything happens for a reason, and it reminded me of a quote. I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard it. Everything happens for a reason is no reason not to ask myself if I'm living it right. So just because like everything happens for a reason, or God has a plan for us, doesn't mean we don't have choices to make, and that we shouldn't ask ourselves if we're living our lives right and doing the right thing, because we do have free will, and it is up to us.
Yeah, I think that there is a plan for our life, but I also think that we have the choice whether to follow that plan or to do whatever we want to do. I don't think that necessarily everything happens for a reason, but I believe that if you try to do what's right, even if you mess up a few times, then that is part of your plan, and God can turn it around to be positive.
Yeah, like I don't think that necessarily everything happens for a reason, but whatever does happen, there's always something good that comes out of it.
Yeah, I think he does have a plan for us, but we control it, and it's our choice to either follow it or not to follow it. So it's our choice to decide what to do in life.
It's kind of like he knows the beginning and he knows the end, but the middle and how we get from point A to the point B is up to us. And he's there to guide us and to help us along that way, but ultimately it's our move.
Yeah, well, God is the great I am, so he's always watching us now. You know, he's not the I will or I was, he's the I am. So, you know, 20 years from now, he's there as he's there now. So he's seeing us do everything that we do as we do it at the same time. It's kind of interesting, the whole concept of God being omnipresent through all time and space. It's cool there.
Yeah, it's like God, he's got the plan for you and everything, but it's up to you if you're gonna get to the end or not.
Yeah, I think that the Holy Spirit is really what helps us to do that ultimately. We just have to ask God through prayer, you know, to please bring the Holy Spirit to me and help guide me in the decisions I make in my life. And I think that along the same lines, the Holy Spirit is also maybe what helps us when we do find ourselves angry about life and angry at God. You know, he's there in our hearts and wants us to follow the right path, and think that that's one of the most amazing things about our faith, is that we do have that.
Yeah, you know, like God knows what's going to happen because he's there now. So, like, if you kind of feel yourself being pushed in a direction and, you know, you kind of think that it's God, you should kind of follow it because you know that He's there now, so he knows what's going on.
So then the next question is, if once we hear God's word and we hear him calling us in a direction, if we follow this plan, are we going to be happy? Are we guaranteed happiness if we follow that?
Well, I think that when we're all born, we're all given gifts. Like God gives each of us some kind of gift, and it's up to us to, for one, discover it and hopefully embellish on it, and then two, to progress with it. So like me and my brother, we discovered that we're musically inclined, so we're just going on the path that God gave us that we hopefully should follow that if we use our gifts, then God says that we'll be happy.
I think if you're following God's plan and you know you're following God's plan, you're happy because you know that you're following God's plan and you're doing God's will, you know? Because I would be happy knowing that I'm doing what God wants. It's not like just material happiness. It's the happiness of knowing you're doing what God wants.
Yeah, because God basically just wants you to use the gifts that he gave you.
And I think once you realize that fact and you find that happiness and you see God's path in your life, it becomes much more difficult to get angry at him, and you don't have to deal with that issue as much because you're on the same level, you understand.
When people are angry, they're trying to make sense of their situation.
They're looking for someone to blame for their pain or loss.
Some explanation of how and why this unexplainable thing has happened.
God is frequently the target for this anger.
We have images of God as the protector who will keep us from harm.
As the generous Father who will give us what we desire.
When God doesn't meet our expectations of him as a divine Superman or a year-round Santa Claus, we get mad and resentful.
But God does give us what we need and never gives us more than we can handle.
He is all-knowing and is fully aware of our limitations from inside out.
He understands everything and knows our anger and why we are angry.
So you don't have to hide your anger from God or feel guilty about expressing it.
Have you ever been angry at God? We want to know.
Contact us through our website, realfaithtv.com.
Or you can contact us by phone at 609-406-7402.
And always remember that as Christians, we need to remind ourselves and others that only God can fulfill all our needs and bring us true happiness.
He will give us the strength, the hope, and the perseverance to face all of life's adversities and challenges.
Thanks for watching.
We'll see you next time on
Real Faith TV. God bless.